All right, man. So I'm seeing a lot of this on social media, and I don't know why this year it's a big deal. Mac and cheese supposed to be on the Thanksgiving table or no?
I've never heard of that before, but I'll allow it.
I'm with you.
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Locked On NHL podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host from Locked On Avalanche, Chris Maselli, with me as always for this Thursday and Thanksgiving Day special edition from Locked On Lightning, Mr. Adam Denker. And if you're not listening on or watching on YouTube, I threw out the question to Adam before the graphics kicked in about mac and cheese on the Thanksgiving table. I don't know why I'm seeing this a lot. And I think like the way that you answered it, I agree with. Like, I didn't know it really was that big of a thing, but I'm not going to say no to some mac and cheese. So I feel it's like a kid's thing, like it's for the kid table, but that dish will find its way to the adult table by the end of the day.
I don't know anybody, unless you have like severe lactose intolerance. I don't know anybody that could say even no to mac and cheese in any given situation.
There's no bad time for mac and cheese.
No.
You know, I have a 2-year-old and he wants mac and cheese for breakfast. And there's times where I'm like, sounds pretty good, buddy. Let's fire that oven up and let's make it. There's no bad time for mac and cheese. Yeah, but I don't know why I'm seeing a lot of it on social media on It's a Question. So there's nothing wrong with it.
I'm 29 years old, and I think that might be something I might gravitate towards: mac and cheese for breakfast.
Yeah. So I was going to say a new tradition of mac and cheese for Thanksgiving, but definitely mac and cheese for breakfast. Yeah. I mean, can't they should be able to make some sort of cereal that tastes like mac and cheese. It's milk. It's milk based. It'd just be cold flavored mac and cheese. Saying out loud doesn't sound that appetizing.
No, but I think the best way to go about it, you make an omelet with mac and cheese in it.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I mean,
did we just redefine breakfast?
That's a Denny special right there, man. But yeah, we might have to do that. All right. Well, everybody, thank you for tuning in on this Thanksgiving Day. Of course, it's Thursday, and it is our Power Ranking edition. I don't want to say that there's too many surprises in this one, but maybe at the top yet again, there's another flip-flop at the top. I can't make heads or tails of that, but we will get to it in a second. But we wanted to bring up two big uniform reveals in Team Canada and Team USA. I think Team Canada did theirs Tuesday night, and then Team USA did theirs Wednesday morning. You're getting 3 uniforms out of each of them. I don't think any other country has revealed theirs yet, have they?
Not that I'm aware of.
I haven't seen them.
No, but I would imagine probably in the coming days we're going to see something.
What's your take? We'll start with Team Canada. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Do you like some of them? Do you like none of them?
2 thumbs up. I think Canada. There's really not many ways you could screw this up. I mean, I love the alternative all black look with the red stripes. Mm-hmm. But I mean, just with the maple leaf on the front, I mean, come on, like they have one of the best logos and flags probably in the world just because of that. Team USA, we'll get to it in a little bit. I feel like there was a missed opportunity here. But what do you think, Chris? Do you think like
the Canada ones I like? I like how they incorporate some black. It's not really in like the country colors. Canada is basically white and red, but in the Team Canada hockey logo, there is a little bit of black. So they include that in most of their uniforms. And in this one, they went saturation mode and all black and all red. I really like the red ones. I really, really like the red ones. I really like the black ones, and the white ones are just fine. I mean, that's your, when you think of like Team Canada, those white ones are kind of like what you think of, but I like they kind of went I guess a little bit outside of the box and kind of did like those color rush, like those NFL color rush uniforms with the black and the red. I might be tempted to get. We'll see who's on Team Canada. Good chance Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar are. So I might be getting a black and a red for those two guys down the future. They look really sweet.
Yeah, I might be tempted if he is selected, which he's making a good case for it now. I might have to pick up a Stamkos Team Canada jersey as well. But
yeah.
I'm curious, and not to harbor too much on the black jerseys, but I would have to imagine for an opposing goaltender, guy rips off a shot from that puck disappears real quick through traffic.
I mean, even if he has a good shooting lane and it's right in the line of sight from where the shot is, right, that you're right, man, that could be a little bit difficult. It's kind of like in baseball. I remember the old Yankee Stadium. They had to paint those center field bleachers, or they don't know if they painted them or just put a tarp over them that was black. Yeah, because the batters were having a tough time picking up the white baseball against like white, or they were bleachers, I think. So they were tough to see. So that's a good point. I didn't think about that. And quickly, the United States ones, it's getting panned pretty much across the board. The very first thing I thought of was it was a soccer uniform. It kind of does resemble what like a soccer player would wear. Yeah. People don't seem to like it. I don't mind the white one. The white one looks okay. And then you just have two tones of blue. I don't know why they didn't do a blue one and a red one.
Yeah.
You have a darker blue and a lighter blue. And the lighter blue has no red in it whatsoever. And the blue one has a little stripe of red. I don't know. I feel like it's they didn't put too much time into it, but the white one I don't mind.
I just feel like you had 4 years to figure this out. And this is kind of reminiscent of when we had the reverse retros last season, and the Islanders basically came out with just an alternative to their current ones
with an Islanders uniform, basically.
And I really thought, and if any of you are watching this on YouTube, I have a Team USA jersey behind me. I really thought it was going to come out somewhat like that.
Yeah,
in a way, you were going to kind of build off of that. So I'm very disappointed. I don't mind the two tones. I would, like you said, kind of would like to have seen the red though. But at the same time, I think if you just replaced the USA and you put the crest right in the middle, I think that would have made it look a lot better.
Which was their previous ones, right? Maybe I don't know if it was the last ones.
I think that was like the World Junior ones that they had. This to me, with these two jerseys, they remind me of just when, I don't know if you remember, when Brady Tkachuk was on the Team USA junior squad, and they played that outdoor game up in Buffalo, and they had kind of like a Buffalo Bills themed jerseys. That's what it reminds me of in this case.
Yeah. I know they had that crest in full on the front when TJ Oshie did all those penalty shots. That was I don't remember what year that was, but that was a nice uniform, because even on the shoulders, you couldn't see it unless it was up close. They had kind of stars like on the shoulders within the blue on they're nice uniforms. These ones, a little underwhelming for me. Yes. I mean, people are hating on them. I don't think they are god awful that they like want to make me puke, but they don't. There's no wow factor involved in them. No. And I think when you looked at the Canada ones, those black and red ones that was a wow factor. Like, those look sharp.
No, I think when in doubt, just go back to the Miracle on Ice team jerseys. If anything,
there you go. Yeah. Now, ones that make me want to puke are the jerseys. So that I don't get that at all. I don't mind all the lines and everything, just the jersey part. I don't get it.
I like I don't know if you saw around Twitter, but someone was making fun of it, and then they said, "Here's the hat that's going to follow," and it said "hat" on the jersey, on the hat.
And the Devils are embracing that.
Which
the New
love.
Jersey Devils are, yes, they're tweeting out things, and I think they did have the hat that said, maybe coming soon, maybe. They absolutely have to cash in on that. If you ask me, they should definitely sell hats that say hat, sell pants that say pants, sell socks that say sock. Like, cash in on it, because people hate it, but they will buy that because it's a novelty thing.
I'll be very surprised if we don't see a Devils player skate on the ice with skates that say skates on them.
That you have to. I like that.
Just everything labeled.
It's one of those things where it's like, nobody stood up in this meeting and said, maybe we shouldn't do this. Maybe we should not have it say jersey. I don't know. it's teaching the kids, if anything else, what they are wearing. Yeah. So, all right, let's hear from Built Bar, and then we will dive into these power rankings. First of all, builtbar.com, and it's Thanksgiving Day. So put down the pie. Can you do that, Adam? Can you put down the pie, or is it too?
I don't know when
No,
when you're rolling out the blueberry pie and you got a side of macaroni and cheese right before that.
Yeah.
I don't know if
I
you
was just going to say you've downed a plate of mac and cheese already, so why not just so maybe the day after start your diet, and it's a perfect time to start with Built Bar. And Built Bars are the most delicious the most delicious flavored tasting protein bars on the market. And one slice of pie can have upwards of 300 calories and likely more. 300 is on the low end. And most Built Bars are only 130 calories and only 4 grams of sugar with plenty of protein. They are low calorie, low carb, low fat, and high in protein, and also covered in 100% real chocolate. And definitely check out builtbar.com on Black Friday. They're going to have some specials, they're going to have some deals, maybe some new flavors, maybe some flavors that they're bringing back from the dead. So definitely check them out on Built Bar Black Friday. Also, go over there to the website, builtbar.com. Use the promo code LOCKED15 and you will get 15% off of your order. Once again, that promo code is LOCKED15 for 15% off at builtbar.com. So let's get to our weekly power ranking, sir, as voted on by the Locked On NHL Network hosts from across the network. But you can still use Adam and I as your punching bags. It's fine. We can take it. So let's get them up on the screen if you're watching on the YouTube. If not, you'll just have to listen to us. So another swap at the top, and I can't make heads or tails of that. Panthers move up to number 1, while the Hurricanes move down to number 2. The Oilers stay flat at number 3. The Flames move up from 9 to 4. Toronto moves down. Yeah, Montreal. Toronto is a little bit higher than Montreal. Toronto down 1 from 4 to 5. The Capitals down 1 from 5 to 6. The Lightning down 1 from 6 to 7. The Rangers down from 7 to 8. Everybody's down 1. The Ducks down from 8 to 9. And the Wild move up. There we go. From 11 to 10. So that rounds out your top 10. And the one thing that kind of jumped out to me, I remember last week I said that only 2 teams remained flat, and that was the Oilers at 3, where they stay again, and the Coyotes at 32, where they stay again. And we'll get to the bottom of it later because I don't agree with that. I don't agree with the Arizona being at the bottom again. But a lot more teams staying put. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So are we getting to the point where we're going to see more of this week after week? What do you think?
To start off, I like you don't understand Canes and Panthers being switched around.
Which I have always been having the Panthers at number 1 for the past number of weeks. So I am fine with it. I just don't get it.
I think it should be Panthers, Oilers, and Canes, to be honest. I just think that the Oilers are really starting to get it together, regardless of, what their record has been over the last week. The one team that I'm a little curious about that fell was the Ducks. I really thought we spoke on the last episode that when we were doing this last week that we really thought they were going to move up into the top 5. And
well, when you lose 2 in a row, it kind of you're on a good hot streak. And they're one of those teams that, people are putting up in the top 10, maybe begrudgingly, like they don't want to because they're just waiting for the other shoe to fall. And a 2-game losing streak is all some people need to be like, nope, dropping them.
Right. But by that logic, if you're falling one spot because of a 2-game losing streak, then the Flyers, who I think have lost their last 4, how are you justifying them dropping 3 spots? Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. But I think you got to talk about the Flames moving up from number 9 to number 4. That's just one of those teams that you didn't think was going to do this well. You thought they had a good chance for a playoff spot and be in the thick of things, but they're on a warpath right now.
It really is unbelievable how well they've been playing. I mean, you can't mention the Flames right now without mentioning Andrew Mangiapane. Just what he's been doing, and if anybody knows the story around him, how long his journey was to the NHL, and just, I mean, this Calgary's always been a fun team to watch. They just never have really been able to put it together consistently, and now you're seeing that. And it's weird because if you look at their, and I feel like they should be a little bit higher. They're tied with Florida for the second most points they're tied with Florida and Carolina for the second most points in the league. So. I feel like maybe they're a little undervalued right now in these rankings. Maybe they should be a little higher than the Oilers. Maybe break up those two up at the top. But I don't know.
I mean, what would you have them? Would you have them at 3, or you mean you wouldn't really slide them into number 2 right now, or would you? I mean, it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility.
The Oilers.
I think the Oilers should have dropped. I think the Oilers should have dropped a little bit. Where are they here? 13-5-0, so 26 points. Which is the same as the Panthers. Calgary has played 2 extra games. So, the Panthers have 2 games in hand against them. The Hurricanes have 3 games in hand against the Flames. And the Oilers have 2 games as well. So I think is 20 the most anybody has played. Yeah, that nobody's played more than 20 games. And there's a couple teams that have played 20 games.
Yeah.
So maybe because of that, they're a little bit behind or right where they should be. Yeah. If you're moving them up anymore, it would just be one spot, in my opinion, to number 3.
Well, I have to ask you, just because we're the host of these 2 teams. So really, real quick, do you think where the Avalanche are right now is justified? Do you think?
Yeah, they're at 13. They were number 15 last week. They're winners of 5 in a row. They're starting to play much, much better. So I don't think just because they're finally starting to hit their stride, we got to catapult them back into the top 10. Yeah. I think they need to climb their way back there. And the odd thing is, like I said, they're at 13. The 3 teams above them are all Central Division teams. So you got the Blues above them, you got the Jets above them, and you got Minnesota above them. So if you put them above all of those teams, they would be number 10. And you're saying right now they're better than teams that are above them in the standings. But we were just talking about games in hand. Avalanche have games in hand on all those guys.
Yeah.
The Wild, the Jets, and the Blues have played 18 games, while the Avalanche have played 15. They have played 18. So the Avalanche have 3 games in hand against those 3 teams. But you can't just say because of that we'll put them above them. You got to kind of look at where things are right now.
Yeah.
I think if the Avalanche can continue this, they have a big game as we're recording this tonight against Anaheim. If they can win out this season, this week, they have 4 games this week. I think you'll see them creep back into the top 10 next week.
Yeah, I mean, the Wild, the Lightning have the pleasure of playing them twice in the span of 2 weeks, and they are a lot tougher than they look on paper. I mean, this team there's not many teams in the NHL that could skate with the Lightning and really sort of at times dictate the flow of the game. And the Wild were just doing that for the most part. And really, I expect more out of the Wild going forward if they're going to continue to play like this. I do not envy you guys having to be in the same division as the Wild, just because. And then the Lightning are playing the Blues twice in the next 2 weeks too. So I'm going to gain a lot more respect for your division as we go on.
Because I think they've both lost. Well, I think the Wild have lost 2 in a row. And let me see here. Yeah. And St. Louis, they're on a 1-game winning streak. So it's a tough division.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And the last team I want to bring up, and then we'll look at the second half of it, is the Vegas Golden Knights. They move up from 19 to 15. They are doing what the Avalanche have done the past number of seasons and just holding their head above water while they wait for a lot of their stars to come back.
Yeah.
And is that a scary thing that they are where they are? I mean, they're 11-8-0. That's 22 points on the season. They're, I think a lot of people were saying, like, with the injuries that they had, they were just going to free fall because they were premier players on their team. And then, yeah, they get Eichel, and he's not going to be back for a while. But if the Knights can keep doing this and one by one get all these guys back, and then Eichel comes around, that's not a team you want to play.
No, I completely agree with you. I'm looking at their injury list right now, and it's unbelievable. I did not really have an idea of who was actually, but I mean, how can you not, if you have all these guys come back healthy and ready to play, especially Eichel, if you have these guys, how good of a chance is there for them to possibly just do a 180 and jump to the top of this leaderboard? Not only
it's one of those
in standings, but also in the rankings.
It's two things. It's Eichel coming back. You don't know what you're going to get. I mean, he's having pretty serious surgery.
No, I'm talking more into the conditions. If you get prime Eichel right now, if you're getting top of his game, yeah.
So, I mean, when he comes back, he's going to need some, get back into the flow period, which is fine. And for the Knights, I think they might take the approach that your Lightning has. Just get in the playoffs.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where we're ranked. If we can get into the playoffs with our healthy team, we're fine. Who cares if we're number 1 or number 6 or 7? It doesn't matter.
Yeah, because I mean, we've seen in past years, seedings don't matter.
No,
you get in, anything could happen. So I agree with you on that. I think maybe they'll go in that route. Maybe they'll say, hey, let's play a little at the end of the season and then just get ready for the playoffs.
Yeah. All right, let's hear from BetOnline and then look at the second half of these power rankings. So betonline.ag, and it's Thanksgiving time. And outside of the turkey and the mashed potatoes and the mac and cheese, what do you think about with Thanksgiving? Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
Dallas Cowboys.
Detroit Lions.
The Detroit Lions. I think the Saints are playing.
They're playing the Bears too. The Lions.
The Lions and Bears.
Oh, yeah, boy. That's gonna be a.
All right, I think I'll be watching. Don't they have the Westminster Dog Show on? I think I'll be watching that instead. Or I don't know if it's on, but But if you want to bet on all that stuff, including the dog show, which you probably can bet on, you head over to betonline.ag for all of your betting action. It remains your number one spot for all the sports action this Thanksgiving. Head to the new updated desktop and mobile device websites and sign up today to receive a 50% welcome bonus with the promo code Locked On. And it's not just football. BetOnline has pro and college hoops, the NHL, boxing, UFC, even your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all of your favorite sports. And we are stuffed to the rafters with deals this Thanksgiving at betonline.ag. All right, the backside of these rankings. A lot of those teams I was talking about that stayed put are in this section. Yeah. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 of those teams have not moved. You okay with that? Any that you think should be a little bit higher, should be a little bit lower?
I think the Canadians should be at the bottom of the list. I think they're at a point right now where I think they've come to terms with the chances of them getting the first overall pick are definitely a lot higher than them making the playoffs. So I think they're all in on. I think they're full on tank mode now, and especially now with the questions arising that Marc Bergevin may not be back after this season. So
really,
yeah. So really, I think that the Canadians should be completely lower. I think I've completely given up on the Canucks. I just, they're one of the biggest letdowns of the season. I believe you also had expectations that they were going to be probably in the middle of the pack, if not near the top 10. And they just have not done anything this
season. Think I ever said that. I will say with the Blackhawks, I did.
Oh, yeah. Well, with the Blackhawks, at least I did. I said Western Conference Finals lock-in. For that,
I was never sold on Vancouver.
I was on the but I don't know. I just feel like Canucks are a big letdown. The Blackhawks are one of those teams you don't know what you're going to get on any given night.
Yeah. But let me ask you about Montreal. Would you put Montreal at the bottom because the expectation was bigger for them?
Yeah.
Over like Ottawa, who record-wise is the worst team in the league. even though Ottawa has 4 games in hand on Montreal, and they're 3 points behind them. So, I mean, we're playing that game of games in hand. I wouldn't be against that of putting Montreal just because the expectation. I mean, you're coming off of a Stanley Cup final, and this is what you're putting up.
And
so I wouldn't be against that. I get it.
I would go a step further to even say if you throw them down there in that bottom 3. Guarantee you they're not breaking from that for the rest of the season. Guarantee it.
Yeah. I would, and I know they've only played 16 games, but, Ottawa just does not look good. And I say that knowing full well they just gave my Avalanche a game. They played very well. But I'm not just taking that one game. Like, overall, they're struggling. So I think Ottawa should be at the bottom. They're at 31 right now. Arizona, for the second week in a row, I would not. I think Arizona needs to come out of there. I think they have some life. I'm not saying if you get them out of the basement, they're going to stay there forever, out of the basement forever. I think when all's said and done, they will have the worst record in the league. But at least for this week, and I know that they've got 2 wins in a row, so maybe we'll carry that over into next week and we'll get out of the basement. But my bottom 3 would go Seattle at 30. Arizona. You know what? I think I put Arizona at 30. Yes, I did. I put Seattle at 31 and the Senators at 32 because, the Kraken they lost 6 in a row. They had a nice win against Washington, which nobody saw coming because they had 6 in a row before that. But yeah, I Montreal is right above them at 29. So
yeah, I don't know. I just think, I don't know. I think with the Kraken, I don't think anybody should be surprised. They're playing like an expansion team is supposed to play. Right. Whereas the Canadians, like you said, they're fresh off a Stanley Cup final appearance, and this is what we're getting from them. They just sent down their future star, Cole Caulfield.
I know.
So
did they bring him back up though, or no?
I don't think so yet, but I would imagine he's not going to be down there for too long.
I thought I heard something where maybe they're planning on bringing him back. I don't know. I got to look it up, but. I think we have to talk. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no. And I was about to say, if you look at the teams above them in the 20s and teens, who's the biggest surprise to you? Because the last couple of weeks, a lot of people have been high on the Sharks. They've been rolling, and it seems like they're starting to come back down to earth. So are the Sabres. A little bit. But who are we looking at as probably the biggest jump or maybe the biggest surprise in terms of where they are right now?
I think it has to be the Islanders. It's got to be the Islanders. They're at 26 right now. They dropped. They were at 24 last week, but just the fact that they dropped again and didn't increase a little bit. Even they're back home finally after that 13 game
got shut out at home
road trip. Yeah.
Now they have the Island. They have the Rangers tonight.
The Rangers
this on Wednesday. So
that is a surprise, and I think a lot of people are just eliminating them from all playoff contention, and I'm not going that far. I think they were my pick. I had the Avalanche and Islanders in the Stanley Cup final, and I think a lot of people had not maybe that matchup, but a lot of people had the Islanders in the Cup final. They've dug themselves a hole. Let's not sugarcoat it. And is the division is probably no longer up for grabs for them. But is it out of the realm of possibility for them to at least just get a playoff spot, a wild card? That is what they have to focus on now. They can't focus on they have to focus on literally one game at a time.
Yeah.
But it's no longer let's win the division, be a number 1 seed, and go into the playoffs on a high. It's now you have to get into the playoffs. And I think a lot of people, because they had them so high and in the Stanley Cup final, because they're nowhere near that right now, they are completely writing them off. And I'm not willing to do that. I still think they can make the playoffs, but clearly they have to play a lot better than they are. So a lot of people are like all or nothing for them. It's like they got to finish number 1 or they're done. And because they're not up there right now, it's like they're eliminating them. And like, no, you can't do that. They can still scratch and claw for a playoff.
Yeah.
Spot.
I said it from the beginning of the season. I think they're a talented team, but what the issue that this team has run into the last couple of seasons is scoring. They have the 6th worst goal differential in the league. And if you were to do these rankings just based on that, they'd be at the bottom of this list. And they just have nobody that could score for them consistently on a given night. There was a stat actually during the Lightning game that actually surprised me. They have the least amount of goals from their defensemen by any team in the league, and that's one. And you're not going to win games when you're getting one goal from your defenseman.
Yeah.
And that's what the issue is. They didn't go out and get anybody that could go out there and score for them. I know they were in the conversation for Taylor Hall in the offseason at one point, but come on, that wasn't a realistic possibility there. But they've really dug themselves into a hole, like you said, and I don't see them. They're in one of the toughest divisions in the league.
Very tough.
And look at the Devils, where the Devils are in that division. They don't even have Jack Hughes in the lineup. So
yeah,
if the Devils are even up there, and they're out without their star player, and you have Philly, who's in a little bit of a skid right now, I don't see where you could even get close to that last playoff spot. I mean, I don't know what is going to happen at the trade deadline, because let's face it, cap constrictions are going to really make this a dull trade deadline. So I don't know where they go with this, unless Matt Barzal turns into Alexei Yashin for the rest of the season. I don't know how the Islanders could recover from this.
It's not going to be easy, and they have to start playing better now. You know what I mean? So, and it will be telling, by Christmas time, I might be saying, no, it's done. Because if they keep this up, if they just do kind of like 500 hockey for the next month, that's not good enough. They need to start, winning weeks at a time. And if they're playing 4 games in a week, they need to be 3-1 in that week. They can't be 2-2, so they need to really, they gotta, the panic button the hand is on it, and it's, on the verge of being pressed. And they, in my opinion, they got a month. If they show zero improvement in the standings in a month, I think it's too much. It's too difficult, like you said, with the division that they're in, to overcome all of those teams for the rest of the season. But is it possible today? It's going to be tough.
You're being a little bit more gracious than I am. If I was an Islanders fan, I would be smashing the panic button right now. I think, let's not look at New Year's as a measuring stick for them to see if they have a chance. I mean, these teams above them are going to continue to win, and we need to revisit how they're playing by the second week of December. So
I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe hitting the panic button is what you need to do to get your butt in gear and start winning some games. So we'll see. That's definitely a team to watch. So there you have it for this week. Your Thanksgiving week power rankings. I guess we can just get ahead of the game and just say for next week, the Hurricanes are number 1 and the Panthers number 2, because they seem to be switching week after week. And not pictured here, the United States uniforms coming in at number 33 for this power ranking. So there you have it. All right, man, that will be it. So everybody out there, have a wonderful Thanksgiving, if it's something that you celebrate. And we will be back next week with a fresh Locked On NHL Power Ranking. So let everybody know where they can find you, good sir.
Go ahead and give us Locked On Lightning a follow on LO_Lightning on Twitter. Give us a follow on Instagram at LockedOn_Lightning. Lightning are starting to pick it up, even though they have 2 star players out of the lineup. So can't wait to see how they are in a couple weeks in the rankings. I think they're going to be possibly near the top 5. So, and where can they find your 13th seeded Avalanche?
LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter, and Locked On Avalanche on Instagram, and of course the Locked On Avalanche YouTube page. You can follow it over there as well. So it's going to be a fun week of hockey. So we'll blow it up on YouTube one more time, get a good look at it. Are you angry? Is your team right where they should be? Are they free falling? Get a hold of us.
Or are you just hungry for the mac and cheese?
Yeah, just go get some. All right, I'm going to end this so I can go stuff some mac and cheese down the gullet. All right, everybody. Have a good one. See you next week.